And we are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Buzz. It's so wonderful to have all of our wonderful guests here tonight, and we will introduce them in a second. But I just wanted to especially introduce my co-host Diane Coburn Martin. Diane, hey,
How you
you're looking
doing?
good out there. Is that your porch?
Good to see everyone. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
It's too warm in the house tonight.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So we get a little bit of nature, a little bit of everything. So it's all good. But we have some very special guests tonight. We have actually 4 on tonight, which I think is wonderful that we rounded up all these wonderful people that decided they would love to be on the broadcast. So will you welcome Eileen? So Eileen, do you want me to say your full name or you just want to go by Eileen?
Whatever. They
Okay.
can read it. It's there. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously the names are on the front there, so we can identify in case you get lost or whatever. So anyway, we got Eileen, we got Scott, and we got Sylvia, and we got Gayle, and I am so excited to have you on, and I can't wait to hear all that you've been doing, in the last 50 years, because obviously we've lost contact, or at least I have with Gayle. I used to, I was with you on the play, and Eileen, we hung out in school as well. And Sylvia, I always remember you as being like really awesome and always
God bless you.
Upbeat personality, and it was always a pleasure to interact with you. But let's get moving. Diane, I think you do have the first question, but before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that some of the people that are watching, and the people that are watching, hello, and all of us, just so you know, people are saying hello to you guys. And so if you have questions or you want to put something in the chat button, we will, make sure that people know that you're on. So, and thanks for tuning in.
Definitely.
So, okay, Diane, you
All
got
right.
it.
So here we go. It's been 50 years, guys. Can you even believe it? Can you believe we're at this point now? It's
Wow.
pretty surreal. Yeah.
It is.
So I just wanted to start by asking you, what have you been doing for the past 50 years? What's up? What's going on? Tell us where life's taken you. Give us a little idea, little story about yourself. So, Eileen, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm actually known amongst my friends as being a big talker. So, yeah. Hi, everybody. So since high school, kind of following on what other people have done on these broadcasts, I went to URI, but I was a commuter. I wanted to be a teacher ever since I was little, but took my first education course in college, and oh my God, I got a C. I never got C's except in art and music. So I switched to sociology and ended up working as a research assistant for one of the professors at URI. And that led to a position as a research analyst for the state of Connecticut, living in Pawcatuck and working in Hartford. So that was before Route 2 was finished, so it was a long commute. But in high school, in about October of my senior year, I met Gary, and we got married 3 weeks into my senior year of college. And so we moved around a little bit. I was a stay-at-home mom for a while after I had my daughter, Lindsay. And in 1982, we moved to New Hampshire, where our son Graham was born, 1985. And actually, Patty Majika and Glenn Gashone are now living in Derry, which is the town that Gary and I lived in for 4 years. And I thought that was interesting. But I eventually, when my kids were a little bit older, went back to school, got a master's in special ed, became a special ed teacher, and had substituted and been in school suspension paraprofessional for a while before I went back and got my master's. And so I taught for 5 years, then took a head teacher position at an inpatient psychiatric hospital in Hartford, and then got an administrative degree and became principal, and then moved on to, after taking a couple, 2.5 years of unemployment, basically, just situational, because I tended to shut down any place I worked unless it was a public school. All the programs and jobs I had, like everything closed. I worked at VARS, it closed. I worked at Plaza Parade, it closed. Camp Wakanda when I was 16 and it closed. It was just like crazy. And so after the program closed in the hospital, that was a school where I was the principal, I ended up with a position as part-time director of special education in Preston. And by then we were living in Enfield because we had moved a couple of times for Gary's job. So it's been a whirlwind. And with his job, we were able to travel a lot around his job. So I consider myself very fortunate. And he retired last March. I retired last June. And we're loving life.
Yay. Principal Hargreaves, huh? That's what they used to call you.
Yeah, actually, it was usually Mrs. H.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, the kids, the inpatient psychiatric hospital was definitely an experience.
I bet.
And then, being director of special ed, Preston first, then Basra, was also interesting.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I now have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. So
that's awesome. Awesome. How about we move to you, Gayle? How are you? And you're down in Florida now, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yes, we've been here 2 months, so we're still getting acclimated to being a Floridian, but
yeah,
we're loving it so far, and making friends and starting the routine. So, yeah. But as far as me, after high school, I also went to URI and received a Bachelor of music education with a minor in piano. And I taught a year in Griswold, Connecticut, then 4 years in Westerly. Then we started with my first husband. We started our family. I have 3 grown, wonderful children, Alyssa, Tom, and Peter. 2 live in Connecticut. 1 lives in Mass now. So I taught in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then we moved to Maine. I taught in Maine, music in Maine for 13 years.
Wow.
And then I took a position with the church I was attending, and I helped them start a Christian school.
Oh, nice.
And I was the principal of that for 2 years. And I'm happy to say that school is still there 25 years later and thriving. So, but anyway, and so my tenure in Maine ended in 2000. We moved back to Westerly. I had kids in college. Peter, raising my son Peter, the youngest, he was very colorful in Westerly, with several other children. But he is wonderful now, thank God. But anyway, so I taught in Connecticut, and I'm sure some people can relate to colorful children. Actually, I had 2, my daughter Alyssa and my son Peter. Even got a little help from police chief Dave Smyth once with my son Peter.
All right.
Thank God for high school connections, right? Oh gosh, trying to put the fear of God in them. But anyway, so I taught at Fitch Middle music for 5 years, and during that time I earned 2 master's degrees. I earned 1 in education, 1 in school administration, following a similar path with Eileen. I then worked for Ledyard Public Schools for 11 years as an administrator in their middle school. I retired in 2016. And was going crazy. So they hired me back part-time, and actually had a fantastic, what was it, 4 or 5 year run with them working part-time. It was the ideal retirement job, but then COVID hit and sort of wrecked all of I lost that wonderful position because of COVID. But anyway, so that's basically me. I've been married twice. My second husband's name is Charlie, and he's down here enjoying life in Florida. I have 4 grandchildren.
Oh,
Age from 2, our little princess is 2, and then 3 boys that are 4, 6, and 8. And enjoy them as much as I can when we were living in Westerly. But
yeah,
that's basically an overview of my life.
that's great. That's good.
Wow.
That's great to hear.
So,
Let's see, who should we pick? How about Sylvia? Tell us what you've been doing for the past 50 years.
Hello, everybody. Well, basically, I went to URI, but I didn't stay there like Gayle did, because to me, music is becoming a job, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do. So I left, I went to school, and I got my associates in legal and executive secretarial work. Sounds real fancy, but it was very basic. And I proceeded to work in a lot of different companies. I worked in I worked for Vice President of Engineering at Quonset Point. I worked for the manager of human resources at another company. So it goes on and on like that. I was very fortunate to keep changing in like the person I am. I get bored easily. And meanwhile, I had 3 sons. Carlton II, who is now 38. Cameron, who's 36, and Brandon, who will be 35 shortly. And they were a lot of fun growing up. One of them, my youngest, had something called dissociative disorder. So he had multiple personalities. He had 11 documented. He was written up in some school theses for a teacher. And so it was like, even though I don't have children, I kind of do, because he's got twins. He's got an old man. It's very interesting. And he doesn't like to talk about it, or I wouldn't bother. Because of all this excitement in my life, I started my own business doing secretarial services, design logos for companies and individuals for cards, business cards and such, called Just Your Type, my mother-in-law title, which I thought was so cute. And I was fortunate to she baked that a lot for me. I had free sitter service. I didn't do anything with my music except continue to play now and then. And now I'm happy to say I got my clarinet completely refurbished, and I'm giving myself lessons. Yes, Gayle, I should have you help me. We should all get together with our music, right, Scott? And I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. When I was younger, I need lessons. And that's basically all I've done too. A lot of typing, a lot of designing, and a lot of fun. I've had a really full life.
Good for you. Good for you.
I've been married. I should mention, I have been married for 46 years.
Oh, wow.
I was in high school.
Congratulations. That's a long time.
Oh, thank you.
To the same person. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Last but not least, Scott, let's hear from you. What have you been doing for 50 years?
You know, I was always picked last for the, when we picked sports and gym class, and here I am again.
Aw, save the best for last.
That's it.
And of course, because I was so nerdy and geeky in high school, where do you think I went to school? At an engineering school, Worcester Polytechnic.
Polytech.
And I got a degree in electrical engineering, but I've never actually worked an electrical engineering job. Instead, I worked 29 years as a software engineer, and then around about year 27, I said, this isn't fun anymore. And finally, year 29, I said, that's it, I'm out of here. Then I taught English as a second language for foreign-born adults who came here to Boston to study. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I retired in 2009. And I started traveling to Italy pretty much every year. First, I went to visit some of my former students, and then I said, I really like Italy. And then I went back and I went to language school, I think about 6 times maybe, for a month each time. I took Italian classes here, and I've had an Italian tutor for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I also take singing lessons from her, and I take guitar lessons from her husband. And I own four guitars, 3 of which are Guild. And where did Guild used to make their guitars?
Westerly.
Westerly.
Yeah.
In my 12-string guitar is a 1979 made in Westerly Guild.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
Actually,
That's awesome.
A 12
Guild.
a 12 string, Scott. That's
12 string.
Yeah.
I have 3
Yes.
6 strings and 12 string.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and and I was married.
Yay.
Computer job when I was 30. We got married when I was 34, and that lasted 15 years. And unlike everyone else in the class I talked to, I don't have any kids. Yay. And so I can go to Italy for 4, 5,
There you
6,
go.
7 weeks at a time, which I do pretty much every year. Of course, I didn't go during the pandemic, and I went 1 year and had a medical problem and had to come home right away. So other than that, I've been going pretty much every year since 2009.
Well, your
Wow.
students are your children, right, Scott?
Well,
That's right.
I guess, sort of, except they were like, they ranged in age from maybe like 18 up to 50. So
Yeah.
I didn't,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Nice.
we're like kids. But I have kept in touch
Yeah.
with a lot of them. Yeah.
Nice.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Good for you.
So that's about what I've been doing, I guess.
Busy people.
That's awesome.
Busy
Yes.
people.
So Scott, because you do the guitar, were you planning on demonstrating for us tonight?
I wasn't planning on it. No, no, thank you.
Someday soon, right?
Nothing like putting him on the spot.
I know, sorry.
One
I
of
just
these
had to ask.
Maybe at the reunion.
days.
Yeah, everyone should bring their instruments.
Maybe not.
And Scott, you've been involved in reenactments and things too. Yeah.
Yes, and for about 25 years, I have been an 18th century colonial reenactor, and,
Yep.
and I'm in a group of about 75 people, and of course, and of course in the Boston area, I'm in a lot of the first battles and all the lead up to the American Revolution happened, and so in April every year I am part of a large group of people that reenact the opening days of the Revolution.
That's awesome.
Sort of
Wow.
thing. And I also
That's
sew all of my own clothes.
Yeah, that's
pretty
amazing.
impressive. Yeah.
And most of it is hand sewn because they didn't have machines then. So you got to make
That's
it
right.
look right. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So do you have a reenactment like throughout the summer, Scott?
Usually every couple of weeks during the summer, we do something. Our group just had an event in New Jersey this past weekend, along with a lot of other groups.
Mhm.
And then there's another local one this coming weekend. And,
Nice.
Nice.
and
Nice.
we have a bunch of them all summer long and into September and October.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's really awesome that you do that. I'm actually very
Yeah.
impressed too that you so, I think that's really awesome. You're really
Yeah.
into it, so it's good.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a fun hobby.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
It's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. Can you tell us what your greatest achievements have been, and what you enjoy most in this stage of your life now? So maybe we start with Gayle first.
Okay. Well, my greatest achievement is my 3 kids. I absolutely loved being a mom. I loved raising them and watching them grow up into the wonderful adults they are now. Um, I I just can't say enough about how proud I am of my 3 kids and how much I love them. My other achievement was, of course, helping my church start the Christian school. Um, Watching that grow for the 2 years I did that, and then I was invited back a couple of years ago for their 20th celebration, and just to see they have a new building, they have hundreds of students, and we started out with a handful. To see how much it's grown and how successful it's been, and
Awesome.
I had the privilege of helping to start that.
That's great.
Those are probably the 2 most memorable things.
Great. That's great.
Thank you, Gayle.
Super.
How about you, Sylvia?
Well, I have to mirror what she said about children, because if you don't have children and you can do little things, Scott, God bless you. I think that's great. I don't have any grandchildren, so I'm. 3 boys do fill me with a lot of love, and I respect them all. And of course, my husband sticking with me is a great achievement in itself. And probably what I'm most proud of right now is that I've gone outside of my comfort zone, and I've started reacquainting myself with people from school that I might not have been close with at that time, or that were involved in so much that I was not involved in the same things. I was involved in the band. They were off doing other important things. And it's great getting reacquainted with all these people. I wouldn't change it for anything.
I agree. I agree. That's awesome, Sylvia. Eileen, how about you?
Well, family, obviously. The fact that Gary and I have been married for almost 47 years.
Wow.
And still
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it'll be 47 years in September.
Wow.
I think one of the things that I'm really proud of and cherish are the friendships that I've made. As most of you know, I was born in Scotland, and I came to the United States when I was 11. Sylvia was one of the first people that I met. And even though we didn't, our fathers worked together, and even though we haven't had a lot of contact over the years, she was very kind. Gayle is my oldest friend in this country, and oldest and closest friend. And, we've been separated by distance, a lot of that friendship. But I think that, when people say, find your tribe, it's like that's the new thing. With us, it was it takes a village to raise a child when our kids were little. And now it's, find your tribe. And I think that I'm very fortunate. I've done a lot of volunteer work, And through that work in the community, especially we've been in Enfield for 30 years now, actually 35. I met people through a community service group, and we started plastics recycling in Enfield when the mayor said that the town wasn't ready for it, and we did it by manning a dumpster once a month at the town garage.
Nice.
I was on the Town Green Advisory Committee, and we built a beautiful plaza on the Town Green with a fountain, and so stuff like that. And now I volunteer for the Network Against Domestic Abuse in Enfield. I'm on the board of directors.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So I co-chair the big fundraiser.
Nice.
Just had and just raised over $42,000.
That's
so
wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, so I enjoy all that stuff that gets me out of the house. Now the kids don't need as much of my attention. So
awesome! Wow,
that's
lot.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Done a lot, Eileen. How about you, Scott?
Fun.
Well, it's an interesting achievement, but I'm sure you all remember that. That I'm a stutterer, and back in my high school days, actually well into my adult years, I really had a problem with my stuttering, mentally kind of thing. It's like I was embarrassed and shamed about it. And I think one of my greatest achievements in life is finally accepting my stuttering and being willing to talk openly about it and as if it isn't a big deal in my life anymore, because other than getting stuck a lot more when I speak in Italian than I do in English, I don't like that at all. It really is not a big deal in my life anymore.
Good.
That's awesome.
And I credit that actually to the movie, The King's Speech.
Wow, yeah, that was a great movie.
I was very moved by that, by that film. And I said, you know what? It's time I just accepted.
That's awesome.
This whole thing for, what it is and how it's affected my life and will affect my life. So there's that. And then the other thing is being able to speak Italian pretty much fluently.
That's awesome.
And it's like when I was in when I was at Westerly High, of course, I had to take a language because if you were in a college prep program, you had to, right? And I said, I really don't want to take a language, blah, blah, blah. And I took French and I learned it pretty well, good enough to manage in French, kind of, sort of. But then I just decided to learn Italian and learn more. I want to learn some more. Maybe I'll learn Spanish, maybe because I want to visit some of my a couple of my former English students in Argentina one of these days. So yeah, so
there's a lot of similarities.
Huge accomplishments. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
It
isn't anything as as lofty and contributing to a society. The way that the way that Gayle and Eileen had, but it's still an accomplishment.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But when you've had those kind of challenges, I think what you've done is incredible.
Being,
I wish we all had that insight of self-acceptance and all that way back then, but it's a process, it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Right. And and growing up as a lifelong stutterer and then having to deal with kids, especially in junior high, which was the worst.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
Of course.
And,
Of course.
and I've gotten past it.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
there are still some particular people that I
great.
remember, who shall go nameless, who were pretty good.
Well, it's very
hopefully you remember
admirable.
who they are and they're ashamed, Scott.
Yeah.
None of us.
Absolutely, Eileen.
Scott, you got a lot of courage, and you know what? Everyone has something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
And so I give you a lot of credit, and
Absolutely.
and
Very admirable. So
So
I'm
it's
going to change it up a little bit and ask all of you about your involvement in music during high school, whether you were in band or chorus or the senior pimpernel, and the music through the years. And some of you have already talked about if you still play or do that kind of thing. But yeah, can you kind of shed some light about that? Who wants to go for Sylvia? How about we pick you first this time?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, music was a major part of my life in high school because even though I was shy, I at least think I was shy. With music, you could be free, and it made a big difference. And I was fortunate; I got to be involved in. Franklin was wonderful getting us involved in things, but I was in both the band and the choir and senior pimpernel. And when I belonged to Allstate, All New England, All Eastern, and finally America's Youth in Concert, which Gayle's familiar with, where we got to go to Europe and play in all sorts of wonderful venues, including the Roman Forum. But my most favorite place was the Kennedy Center and Carnegie Hall. Those were my favorites because my parents came to both of those, so that was very special.
Awesome.
And still have the album. I got an album from it. Did you get that? An album, and I have a book about it, and it's just fun to reminisce and go back.
Oh yeah.
And because of that, when I came back to school, I felt a lot more confident. Really, that was in the end of junior year and senior year. I felt very confident. And then I married the love of my life, and everything else fell into place. But
that's
music,
awesome.
Yeah, music was a big part of my high school career.
Great.
That's awesome.
Who wants to go? Gayle, how about you go next?
Okay, well, music has been my life, both at school and then outside of school also. I absolutely loved singing and playing the piano to accompany chorus in high school and playing in the pit band for Senior Pimpernel. I will never forget. Everybody remembers Cindy Wetmore in that show?
Oh, yes.
I remember on the bench laughing so hard that I had tears rolling down my face. Fabulous job. And the role that she played in that play was just amazing. But anyway, that was a fun night. I also have been a church musician for all my life. I've been a worship leader in numerous different churches, depending on where I was living at the time, and I still enjoy that to this day. We just moved to Florida, so I've got on my to-do list, to buy list, will be a piano in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Nice.
Don't have one yet here, but I'm still singing, still playing. I remember being in the jazz band and in high school, the pep band. I played anything to stay involved.
That's great. Yeah.
Music is my lifeline.
Great.
That's awesome.
Super. Scott, I know you still play your guitars and stuff. I want to see that 12-string guitar. I want to hear it. It must be beautiful.
It is. It's very nice. Well, of course, in band I played flute. Only the flute I had then was really low-end student grade flute, and I kept it, and I played a little bit in college with orchestra there, and then it really wasn't for me. And that was when I pretty much gave up playing an instrument until graduate school, and then I picked up a Gibson for like $50 or something like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I ended up selling it many years later because I really wasn't playing anymore. I could kick myself because I sold it like $75, and I wish I still had.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I ended up giving away the flute to, like, I don't know, a Goodwill or something like that, because it was such a piece of garbage at that point. And I haven't played flute since, but I really took up guitar seriously about 4 years ago, I think it was, when I took lessons. So that's kind of been my involvement with music. And along the way, I had a piano, and I took lessons, and then I dropped lessons. And then my ex-wife said, why do we still have a piano in the house? And I wanted to keep it, but I just sold it anyway. And I have a keyboard now.
Yeah.
I don't really play, but I use it sometimes for my singing lessons, which I've been taking for more than 10 years.
Excellent.
Wow.
Cool.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Don't you play ukulele too?
No, I don't
Didn't
play
you mention?
that.
Oh, I thought you mentioned that. I'm sorry.
No.
That would be a piece of cake for you.
I do want to buy an Italian oboe. It's called a charamella, and it's a traditional Italian oboe from the south of Italy. One of my friends has one, and it's really cool. And I did play a little bit of oboe in high school, and I would like to learn that again.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's a helicopter going overhead. I don't know if that's disturbing you guys, but it should be gone in a minute. Oh my goodness.
I can hear the
Eileen,
birds.
how about you?
I have no musical ability whatsoever.
No?
I can't hold a note. I can't play an instrument. I love listening to music, and I'm a huge concert goer.
You can
There you
hum and
go.
tap your feet, you know?
There's that. I'm going to see Madonna this year, and
Oh, nice.
and Gary and I went to. I'm going with my daughter and daughter-in-law. And Gary and I just recently saw Billy Joel.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
But of course, we all want to know, did you go and see Taylor Swift?
No.
Oh, okay.
Saw Elton John last year. I've always enjoyed music, but can't sing. It's
Same
skipped my
thing here.
generation.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Kim's got another question for you guys now.
Yes, I do. Can you tell us your favorite high school memory, your favorite class, and who was your favorite teacher? And what would your message be? All in, doesn't have to be, can be whatever.
Uh-oh, you better go with Scott first. He's busting at the seams.
Yes, he is.
All right. So my favorite class was, and here's the nerdiness coming out, advanced chemistry and physics. And we had these labs that were great. And the teacher was Dr. Marriott, who was my favorite one of all. And so our labs were organic chemistry. And in organic chemistry, you can't use corks and rubber stoppers when you put things together. So it was really expensive glassware. And it was like she really guarded this stuff. And so a bunch of us were so nerdy that she would let us come in after school and just, and experiment and do things and all that. And so one night after school, I made a still, and I made basically moonshine.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
All right, Scott.
What did she say about it?
She just thought it was so funny, and then she said, "Go ahead, sure," because
Oh,
you know,
jeez.
purifying it and just learning about the reaction and the whole thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
She probably loved your nerdiness, Scott.
She absolutely loved my she absolutely loved my nerdiness, and she was a friend of my aunt, who was also a teacher at the uh, uh, at the school Bernice in the business program at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would see her every now and then after I graduated when I was over at the house and they would have a party or something. Mhm.
That's awesome. That's
That
a good
is
story.
awesome. That's great. So who wants to go next?
I can. In 11th grade, I was picked to go to Girls State with Pam Strajewski and Renee Radiconi. And I drove us up there. We stayed for a week. It was a great experience. And I just really enjoyed that. Was invited to go back the following year because I won, like, I don't know, like Miss Personality. I forget what the award was, but I helped everybody write their speeches, and I really credit Mr. O'Connell and Mr. Steiner, my English teachers, that I just absolutely loved their classes. But I couldn't go the following year because I was indisposed. I being one of 5 or 6 of our classmates who were pregnant in senior year, so wasn't able to go. So I had to decline. But and I owe Ed McGowan, I see you're on, Ed. I owe you an apology because I showed up at school one day. I thought about this many times over the years. I can't remember who was with me, but I showed up to either drop off some assignments because I was out of school for a few months. And you saw me in the auditorium, Ed, and you said to me, "Oh, Eileen, I hear you've been sick or something. You've got mono or something." I'm like, "Yeah, something like that, Ed." And meanwhile, I'm like 7 months, 8 months pregnant, and yeah. So,
Oh my God,
Ed, I apologize for that. But,
that's funny.
Yeah, so that.
Hey, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
And yeah,
That's great.
jeez.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That baby was given up for adoption, which he's now 50. And
Wow.
I do not have contact with him, although I'm open to that. But
Good, good.
Maybe one of these
that works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah.
Aw.
Anyway. But yeah, high school memories.
I know.
Gayle was always a friend. Always.
How about you, Sylvia?
I think one of the things that stands out is when we went to see Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell, and my mother thought that I was going to go to hell because she had no idea what these were about, and she thought they would show negative aspersions, and it would be bad for us kids. And it was one of the best things I think I ever did in my life. Everybody enjoyed it. The trip up to, I think we went to Boston for one, and one of them was in Providence. But the trip with everybody on the bus was a breeze, and we just had a really great time. And of course, Senior Pimpernel doing that little band on stage was the closest I ever came to being in the limelight.
That was fun.
Wasn't Mr.
That
Gibson
was a lot of fun.
On the bus, Sylvia? Wasn't Mr. Gibson one of the?
He was one of my favorite teachers. He made history interesting, current events interesting.
He was cool.
And then when I got married, I was pleased to find out that my husband also does that. He's very good at explaining history in a way that it's not boring. I'm sure most of you don't find it boring, but it was
awesome.
There's a loud noise. I don't know if I'm doing it. But let's see, anything else? Oh, and the fantastic parties. There was some fantastic parties that Sharon Marone threw, and I want to thank her for those. Those were a blast.
They were, weren't they? I remember
Yes.
those too. Those were fun. Practically the whole class, I think, went there on some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had good attendance, very good parties. So, how about you, Gayle?
Well, I have to share with Scott. Dr. Marriott was one of my favorite teachers. Scott, do you remember when we were lab partners? It was you and me, Dave Smyth, and John Outerkirk. The four.
Oh, geez, yeah.
The chaos we would cause during labs. I don't think I would have passed chem if it wasn't for you. Do you remember? The four of us were quite the comical crew, I'll tell you.
Yeah, we were.
But anyway, so I love being in chemistry with you. I also, and I agree with Eileen, I love Tom O'Connell for an English teacher. I still remember him, and I saw him a couple of times before I left. He's still writing and doing things. He's writing those, the Westerly books, the history books that you see. And he's co-written some of those books.
Oh.
And I just loved him to pieces. The other teacher that I absolutely loved was Mariette Pendleton. I love
she was good.
art.
She was really good.
Drawing. Yeah, I love drawing. I love I still do watercolor paintings.
Oh, nice.
I became a certified Zentangle teacher a few years back, and I've taught that. I absolutely loved art. And one thing I forgot to mention, when I began my teaching career in Westerly, remember Al Norsha?
Oh,
just
yeah.
retired, and I was the person they hired to follow up him. I had big shoes to fill.
Good for you.
Out of college. Yeah.
He was incredible.
He was a sweetheart. So, so that was,
Oh, and I forgot to mention
great memories with those teachers.
Maureen Longo.
Logan?
Logan, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know Longo.
Oh, I got a story about
she was
her.
a wonderful
I don't know if I
teacher. Go for it.
Awesome. Oh my God. Great
English
stories, you
teacher,
guys.
Right, an English teacher, Mrs. Logan?
Yes.
An English teacher, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I had her senior year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books in that class.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff.
We're gonna kind of wrap it up now, but would there be anything else that you all want others listening to know, our classmates to know, or do you feel like you've covered most everything that you needed to, or well, thanks.
Yep.
I'm excited. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Scott.
What I would like them to know is that we have our 50th year reunion coming up. Of course, they already know that. Come to it, please.
Yes.
And even though we have already given a check to the school for our class gift, I know because I'm one of the people kind of keeping the books or the records on that. There are a lot of you out there.
Scott's our Venmo man.
Could be giving us some more to the class gift. And that student assistance fund that we're giving our gift to is fabulous. I wish they had that when we were all in school.
Definitely.
Some of the
very much needed. Yeah. So keep your donations coming in. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
And I know we've given August 1st as sort of a date for either RSVPs or donations or whatever, but do remember when you do RSVP, either to the person that sent you the email with the invitation on it, or you can send it to myself. The information is on the invitation, but you can send it via Facebook message, or if people are listening through YouTube, you can do telephone me or text me or whatever. And Scott and I, all of us were talking at the last meeting. We're going to update the email list for those of you that aren't on Facebook or social media, so that now every time we put something on Facebook that's important, we'll try to send it out via email as well. So that'll be important, but it's going to be fun. And, you know, we're working on getting together that Friday night, and, you know, we're going to have a great buffet. Donations have been coming in for that. So that's been great. And if anybody wants to come to a meeting, we do it once a month on Zoom, and you let Kim Wright know your email address, and she can add it to you. You get the link, pop on, easy as pie. And interviews as well. We're happy to have anybody come on and be interviewed. So
thanks.
So I think that's it, Kim.
I think that is it. I just wanted to say thank you for all of you taking the time tonight to interview and to kind of catch up. It really has been a pleasure. Lots of great memories, which means we have to connect again to discuss all of them that happened. But I wanted to say also really quick, people have been writing in, and one person said Diane looks like she's wearing angel wings in that chair.
Yes, she does.
It looks good though, Diane. You look good as an angel. And Ed McGowan said, "Great seeing you all of you. Best laugh I've had today, Eileen, and great job, everyone. See you soon." Ditto, Sylvia. Grateful to reacquaint, and hello to all. And Lois Alice is watching. So anyway, thank you so much for all that have tuned in. If you happen to have missed it, you can, see it on our page and in our YouTube channel. So it's been great. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Ciao a tutti.